reservations about selecting him because of what's coming up?
No, he's fine. I mean, obviously he's been disappointed because he's missed a couple of games with his injury, but he's worked really hard to get back on the pitch. He's done that well. He's trained well this week. I've found him absolutely no problem whatsoever since we've been here. He's always given his best in training and in the games. So the other stuff is out of my hands, out of my control. So, but in terms of how he is every day, he's been really, really good.
So, because it must be a difficult situation for him, but you haven't detected anything that he's worried about ahead of this? No, I haven't. He's, as I said, he's trained really well. He's been with the team. He's been with the group. Given his everything in the games. He's just been disappointed, obviously, to miss the games because of his injury. But he's battled back really well. Done everything he needs to do in terms of rehab, and now he's back available. So that's good news for us. 2 Premier League wins in a row. It's the first time West Ham have done that for a year. Incredibly. Are you starting to see the work that you're doing on the training ground come to fruition when you're watching them on the pitch?
Well, I think sometimes yes, and sometimes you know there's more to do and more to improve. That's just how it is. I think it's a couple of months we've been here, which isn't that long. At the same time, you can still do a lot in that time, which we think we have. As I've always said, the players have responded really well. They train really well. They've taken on board a lot of the stuff that we've asked them to do and think about. But we know we're a work in progress, and there's lots more to improve.
With that in mind, there'll be 11 days between the Leicester fixture and the Newcastle one. On the one hand, it gives you an opportunity to work with the players on the training ground, but are you itching to just get another game because you've had this back-to-back wins in the Premier League?
Yeah, but as I said earlier in the week, I think it was, you can't do anything about the schedule, and that's how the Premier League is. Sometimes you in the first week it was 3 matches in 8 days or something, and now there's a bit of a gap between the games. It's nothing we can control. You just have to make the best of the time you have, which I think we've done. I think we've tried to refresh the team, make sure they're recovering after 2 difficult matches in different ways with Arsenal and Leicester, and then at the same time working hard to improve on the training ground, which I think we've done. So we've had a nice balance.
Newcastle next. They've got a few injuries. They've got Anthony Gordon suspended and the small matter of a big cup final to come within a week of them playing you. Maybe a good time to be meeting them?
Well, I don't think any time is a good or bad time. There's just a time to play anybody. I think you look at the table logically, they're in the top 6. They're fighting for Champions League points. They'll be looking for the best way to prepare for a cup final, which will be to play a Premier League game and to win a Premier League game. So I'm expecting a tough game against a highly motivated team. Eddie's done a fantastic job there. Well organised, play with huge intensity. So they're not fighting for Champions League places for nothing, and we expect that challenge.
Last couple for me. You just mentioned Eddie Howe there. How well do you know him, and what have you made of the jobs that he's done? Not only at Newcastle, but before that as well.
Yeah, I only know him from playing against him. I'm good friends with one of his staff. So, but in terms of my personal relationship with him, not so much. Only from after games. But I have a huge respect for him, for what he's done, what he did at Bournemouth, how many years he's had in the Premier League, type of teams he's produced, what he's achieved. He had a bit of time off after Bournemouth to refresh and to regenerate, and I think he's come back in a stronger way. The job at Newcastle speaks for itself, I think, from where they were to where they are now, and I'm huge respect for him.
Just final one, Graham. You've been here a couple of months now. Has anything surprised you since you've taken on this job, and how big a challenge has it been coming in mid-season compared to having a full pre-season to work with these players?
No, I think whenever you start a job, you don't know everything, obviously, and you look under the bonnet and there's always some surprises. But I must say that the surprises for me have been positive. It's a really big club with a massive fan base and support. But as I said before, there's a feel of a family, which I think is unique, especially at a club of this size. And and so I've really enjoyed that. I've really enjoyed experiencing that. And then the other stuff is just, you can want an ideal situation, a time in, but I've been really impressed with how everybody's just adapted to the change and us. Everybody's been really supportive. The fans have been brilliant with us in terms of understanding the position and understanding where we're at, and they've just given us support. And the players have been really professional, and also, I think, tried to do the best in terms of what we're asking them to do in a time where you haven't got that preparatory phase, you haven't got 6 weeks to learn about each other. You've got to play games. You've got to win football matches, and that changes the dynamics somewhat. But everybody's been, I think, really supportive and positive.
Cheers. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
Hi, Graham.
Hi.
So, just knocking on from that, do you personally feel that you've kind of got your feet under the table?
Well, I feel settled and supported here for sure. I also know that you've got to keep going. Things change quickly in football, so I don't want to. Your feet under the table sounds like you're a bit comfortable. It's far from that. It's more just I understand the club more and more, and I understand, I think, what potentially we can do, and the ambition and the potential is exciting. So now it's just a case of keep working, focus on the next training session, the next game, and then see if we can improve.
You mentioned Eddie Howe had some time out. Obviously, you had some time out as well. And you took a bit of a break. Did you ever speak to him, or did you sort of maybe think about what he was doing and kind of use that as something that you might take away when you were off?
No, I was aware of what Eddie has done and the path that he's had. I think it's typical of football in some ways. I think when Eddie left Bournemouth, he probably recognised he needed a break and needed a rest and a recharge, and maybe from the outside he's sort of not written off, but you're not quite seen in the same regard, and then you have to prove yourself again, and you have to go to work. And I think what he's done at Newcastle and getting them to the Champions League, all of a sudden he's gone from a coach not so thought of to a very, very highly thought of coach. But the reality of it is he's still a really, really good coach throughout, but things change and circumstances happen, and I think he's someone for everybody to look up, certainly from an English perspective, someone to look up to from a longevity perspective of how he's worked at the highest level for such a long time, and the way that the teams play and how organised they are and how he goes about his work.
And just lastly, just one on Jared Bowen. Wasn't fit when you arrived. He obviously is now. Is he now fully back up to speed? And what, obviously a massive difference, how has he influenced the team since he's been back?
No, Jared's been fantastic. I mean, he's a human being as well. I think when you have a number of weeks off, it's hard to expect that you're going to be in absolute top form from the first or second game. So I think for him, he's contributed to the team in a really, really good way. But I think there's still room for him as well to improve. So that's exciting for us and for him, because he's still been a huge influence on the team, and to have him on the pitch for us is massive. So it's credit to him and how he's conducted himself through the rehab process, that he's come back in such a good way. But I think he'll get better and better as the more rhythm, more games, more training. But we've been delighted with him.
Okay, thanks. Those cameras off, please.